Welcome in, whiskey freaks, to the Splash and Dash on the Blind Tasting Podcast. I'm skipping the history lesson today, and I'm just going to cut straight to the heart of the matter. We're going to taste, review, and hopefully enjoy the thing we all love, whiskey. And it's all about sharing the experience with you guys and diving headfirst into that wonderful world. So let's get after it. And just because it's going to be an abbreviated or a condensed review, I don't think you're going to feel shortchanged. You're going to get all the things, just in less time. I'm going to talk a little faster, maybe not give you as many fun facts. Look, I know folks are busier than ever right now, and I respect that. And I respect that you can go anywhere to get your reviews and your news as it relates to bourbon and whiskey. You choose to come here, and I'm super thankful for that. And one last thing before I get into this review. Just know that nobody at a distillery gave me this bottle. I did not get a free sample from these guys to do this review. If I did, how could you trust me? Look at the other podcasts. Just step back for a minute. Check out the bourbon and whiskey websites out there. You know the ones I'm talking about. In almost every case, they get a bottle or a sample for absolutely free. And then you're supposed to believe them when they tell you whether or not it's good or not. To me, that's bullshit. There is no way possible you can be completely unbiased and totally impartial when you get the stuff for free from the damn distillery. So, will you agree with my review? Well, you might. You might not. But is it solid? Yes. Yes, it is. You can trust me to be honest and impartial, because if it's good, I'll tell you it's good. And if it's total crap, then guess what? It's probably crap. So I just got done cranking up some Bad Company from the Brian Howe era. It is the best, kids. And there is no way, no how you can convince me otherwise. Look, I respect it. I truly respect what Paul Rogers has done. He's a true icon, and I get it. But if you compare them side by side, quality to quality, vocal range, the whole shebang, Brian Howe, God rest his soul, he's far superior. These are facts. Okay, no more rambling, kids. I'm on to the task at hand here. Today, I'm tasting Rebel Yell. Okay, I can't say that anymore. Can't say that. I mean Rebel. Rebel 10-year single barrel straight bourbon whiskey. It's coming to you from MGP because they bought Luxco in 2021. The distillery is Lux Row Distillery, but the even more confusing part is the distillate. It's actually believed to be from Heaven Hill. So how about all that? Rebel 10-year, it's a limited annual single barrel release that uses the original Rebel wheated recipe from back in the day at Stitzel Weller. And they say that gives it a unique flavor profile. Of course, that makes sense. Each barrel will be slightly different. It's a single barrel. Now, my bottle is from the 2024 release, and it's numbered 6708826. Nobody cares. I don't even know why they put that on there. I guess that just proves it came from a single barrel. The barrel fill date is March 20th, 2014. And this bottle is an old-timey 750 milliliter bottle. A full fifth for you here, kids. That's just a little bottle humor here. Just pointing out it's not a 700 milliliter bottle, at least not yet. The bottle came in an elegant looking, kind of a fancy black box. Looks really cool, presents very well, looks very cool sitting on your shelf for sure. The price. So I picked this one up at just over MSRP at $109 a while back at a nearby liquor store here in Illinois. I know I slightly overpaid, but they only had this one left on the shelf, and I guess my FOMO got the best of me. And for those of you with infinity bottles, that means fear of missing out. And quick fun fact, did you know a fifth of whiskey is not really a fifth of a gallon? It's true. I hate to break it to you, but 750 milliliters is just shy of a fifth of a gallon. But since it's been called a fifth for the last 200 years or so, we've just kind of continued that trend. So it's pretty inconsequential in the game of life today, kids, but it's a fun fact nonetheless. So the mash bill of this Rebel 10-year single barrel is undisclosed. We know it's wheated, and I think the prevailing theory is really that it's Heaven Hill's wheated mash bill, which would consist of 68% corn, 20% wheat, and 12% malted barley. It comes in a delightful, for me at least, 100 proof. It's age stated, like I said, at 10 years. Could be slightly older than that, but we know it's at least 10 years old. So let's get right into the review here, kids. Huzzah! I always taste neat, as you know, and today I'm tasting neat out of my Limestone Branch Glencairn, because I'm not a wuss. Look, drink it however you like, right? I mean, you bought it, you paid for it, so if you want to sip it like a girl with a bunch of tasting stones and a gigantic ice ball in your glass, knock yourself out. Look, I'm just kidding. Just kidding, guys. Drink it however you like. What do I care? So let me nose this 10-year-old 100 proofer. So far, so good. It's very light, very fruity. It's interesting. Maybe getting a little raspberry, which is really unusual. A bit of citrusy orange in here. There's not much else going on, at least here in the nose. I like what it's doing. I can't find any oak here at this point, but it's very interesting so far. Let me get a sip of this. Oh yeah, now we're talking. It's still very sweet. Brown sugary goodness in here. And there's that citrusy note I got on the nose. And there's some cherry in here too. And what I mean is cherry, but not like a mouth-puckering tart cherry. It's more like an earthy cherry wood flavor, slightly smoky there. It's quite nice. And there is an oaky undertone here that comes out as it kind of continues to roll across your tongue. And something else that's interesting to me, the mouthfeel. The mouthfeel's a bit thin for a 10-year-old whiskey, in my humble opinion. Now, I wouldn't call it watery, but oily. Yeah, it's not oily either. It's kind of somewhere in no man's land on the mouthfeel. Let me get another sip here to get a better feel for the finish. Okay, so yeah, I'm getting the faintest bit of citrus, and that cherry wood and oakiness is strong here on the finish. It's bringing some leather to the party as well, and I don't mean chips, dips, chains, and whips type of leather. That's the wrong kind of party. This is a whiskey party here. Let me get one more sip real quick. It is a splash and dash, so I'm not going to keep you here too much longer, guys, but I do need one more sip just to get the full effect. Okay, yeah. The finish is short. It's just short. It's not packing much punch on the finish. It's pleasant, but yeah, very short. So what's my verdict going to be here on the Splash and Dash episode of the Blind Tasting Podcast? Well, as you know, there are 3 possible verdicts. Are we going to keep it, collect it, or cull it? To keep it means to proudly display it in your liquor cabinet or bar. This stuff is good for a pour anytime, but there's no need to stock up on it since it's pretty much always available. Collect it. Grab another bottle or 2 since it's so damn good. Or it just may not be easy to get your hands on. And finally, cull it. Use it to loosen rusty bolts or sanitize a dirty toilet. In the case of Rebel 10-year single barrel Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, I say, keep it. Look, I love the nose, that light fruitiness, and the heart of the taste was great with that brown sugary goodness and more fruitiness like cherry wood and just a smidge of raspberry in there that added a real uniqueness to it that I've almost never tasted before in other whiskeys. Now, keep in mind, I've tasted hundreds upon hundreds of whiskeys and ryes and bourbons. This one, very unique as far as its flavor goes, especially with that little bit of raspberry in there. And that oak finally pokes its head out too, right at the end. So quite nice. But the finish. Okay, and also the mouthfeel. For a 10-year-old 100 proofer, I kind of feel like the finish should be longer and I should get a more pronounced mouthfeel. It's just me, just my opinion. It's just, well, it's unique, but I think it's confused. It's both old feeling and not so old feeling. it doesn't know exactly who it is at this point, and that's the best way for me to say it. It's kind of got an identity crisis, I guess. Did I get ripped off at $109? I don't think so. I'd rather pay about $75 for it, really. Maybe other years of the 10-year single barrel from Rebel were better. I don't know. I've never had those. This is the only one I've tasted from this particular expression. But the 2024 here, it's a bit lackluster at that price point. Should you try it? Hell yes, it's great. And I think you'll like it for sure. But I would get a pour next time you're out at a bar, or if a buddy's got it, bum some off of him. Is it worth what I paid? No, it's not. Whiskey Freaks, I hereby command you to subscribe to the pod. Okay, maybe command is a strong word. How about encourage? Please subscribe on Apple or YouTube, wherever great podcasts are found, actually. The Blind Tasting Podcast can be found everywhere. Well, that's all I got for today, Whiskey Freaks. Thanks for listening to the Splash and Dash episode of the Blind Tasting Podcast, your #1 attitudinal bourbon destination.